Okay, welcome everybody. This is the weekly co-stream that we do. Brian's channel here, Brian White's at Futuraza. We got Investing Against the Grain, Nicholas Gibbs, and of course me here as well. So what I wanted to talk about today is, did Elon just take off the brakes from Tesla? All right, he's talking about next couple months we're going to have, the ability for you to text while you're driving using FSD. He goes, aspirationally, next year we should have vehicle production increase by 50%. Cybercab's going to be released in April. He's talking about this terafab, crazy terafab idea. And of course, he's been talking about space-based AI data centers. Do you guys think that this is real? Is he just making statements, or is this going to happen? How
I
real
think
and how serious is he? Yeah.
I think you're going a little too far with the best blank is no blanks. The best breaks are still breaks. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. Although I have made videos showing how you could get rid of them, because if you can get 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, surely you can get from 60 back to 0 in 3 seconds with regen alone. That's not what we're actually talking about. We're talking about the terafab and all the other metaphorical no breaks things. And frankly, maybe he meant the terafab will fabricate dirt because it's Terra. I'm not sure. Maybe we misheard him. There's a lot here. If Elon has a habit of saying a lot of things, some of which are crazy. In a show you and I recorded that will be coming out soon, I mentioned that Elon once said he was going to catch a supersonic skyscraper with chopsticks. That's crazy. I mean, we've seen it happen. It works. It's a thing. And a lot of the things we're talking about are much less crazy than that. So anything's possible over a long enough time horizon, and the impossible is accomplished merely late.
Well, so these things I listed, Brian, which ones do you think is going to happen? Let's say 90% chance it's going to happen, and which ones are like less than 50% chance? You got FSD texting by the end of this year, vehicle production 50% next year, Cybercab in April, terafab, and space-based AI data centers.
I think all of them are aspirational. I think we could get texting by the end of the year. I don't know that if it comes in March or June, I'll still be very happy. It'll still be a game changer. And over the 10-year investment horizon, no one will remember which month it happened in. The terafab, I think, is a risky, dangerous idea. We're looking at just how complicated it's been for TSMC to get their factory up in Arizona. It's been very difficult, even though they absolutely know what they're doing. And then on some of the other things, I don't know.
Vehicle production.
50%. The vehicle production up 50%. They would have to, I think, hitting 50% in 2026 is unlikely because we would need to see the production ramp start really now, so that it could be fully ramped into next year. I think
by the way,
it can be up without hitting that, and I'd still be happy.
Let me confirm that. I think when I read what he said, it might just have been that it's a run rate.
Run rate by the end of next year? Very possible. Very possible.
2.7 million run rate, something like that. Whatever 50% is from 1.8, right? So another 2.7. Yeah.
Very possible.
Could be that the way I read it. Yeah. Okay. What's your answer, Nick? Is he just joking? Is he going to hit these?
A.
Yeah.
Yeah. Select answer A. Yep. So it's not multiple choice. Oh. Dad jokes. I'm allowed now. Have you ever heard of something called Amara's Law?
No, not Moore's. Okay. Mara?
Amara?
Amara.
I say Amara.
You say
Amaras. Amara's Law.
You gonna tell us?
Yeah. Please. So Amara's Law is a law that states that we tend to overestimate the effect of a technology in the short run and underestimate the effect in the long run. And I think that kind of ties in with a little bit of what Brian was saying, where it's aspirational. Will we get there? Yes, but nobody will remember what month. They won't care if it's like 4 months late. I think right now there's a good chance that we're overestimating a lot right now. I think as a Tesla community, if there's one big criticism that we should make on ourselves, it's our overestimation of things. I'm sure we are all guilty of it. Even when we think we're not doing it, I think a lot of times we are doing it. I constantly find myself reflecting on that. And this may be one of those. I think if someone like Ashok were to have said that, Ashok, it would hold a lot more weight, to be completely candid, than Elon saying it. And I think we would all agree with that. But Elon is notorious for pushing the boundaries, right? And he tries to push his team. And, there is a argument to be made that he needs to do that on these calls to set high expectations for his teams so that they strive for those high expectations. That's his style. But I'm with Brian. I think a lot of this is aspirational. Will we maybe get the ability to text in Austin? Sure. That may be something that happens. But I don't think you're going to see every person who has subscribed to FSD be allowed to text and drive by the end of the year. I hope I'm wrong. I always hope I'm wrong on these. But again, these are Elon prognostications, not Ashok. And I think Ashok tends to be more grounded on, okay, how are we going to get there? And Elon is probably approximating more so on, well, we seem to have a rate of interventions per mile. And if I extrapolate, squint a little, looks like roughly around this time. And if he's off by 4 or 5 months, he's still pretty damn close to that approximation based on just trying to make a prediction. Ashok won't really do that. Ashok has it on a roadmap, and so that's why he hits it, because it's penciled, it's inked in. These are the goals that we have for this quarter, for next quarter. It may slip a day or two, like we saw the Cybertruck FSD release with version 14, but it's already inked in that the goal is to accomplish this by the end of the month. All right, it was 2 days late. Not a big deal. They're different when you hear them speaking. So I'm with Brian. I would say it's aspirational. Obviously, fingers crossed, toes crossed. I hope it happens. It'd be amazing. But I'd rather be surprised to the upside than we get to the end of the year and be like, oh, man, there's Elon again.
Right. And I would say that, me and a lot of other people are still on V13. I'm not 100% convinced I'll have 14 by the end of the year. And it may be that some people on 14, maybe the early access people are getting it. And if that's the case, I'm still happy. I'm not super worried about it. I didn't know the name for Amara's Law. Obviously, Moore's Law is something we think about all the time. Probably every week or two, I'm thinking about Cole's Law. I don't know if you know about that one. Oh, yeah, Cole's Law. It's cabbage with like a creamy dressing and carrots diced up.
Coleslaw.
Yeah, coleslaw. It's important to me.
I'm going to put that one in the pocket. An old memory bank. That's a good one.
You guys know Amara's Law? Do you know what Cole's Law? All right. So the second question I asked was how likely...
We just lost every viewer.
I'm bringing back in. The second question I asked was how likely and whether or not he's going to hit those targets for these 6 things I mentioned. But the first question I asked was, is Elon actually taking off the brakes of Tesla? You know that he said, and you know that he did, right? Pulled back on Giga Mexico. He didn't want to invest heavily on a Gigafactory. But now that autonomy in his mind and his words, and in fact, even Robin Denholm's words, is solved, or, we're basically in that world where it's solved, we're headed in that direction, he's willing to really go for it. And that's why he's saying, yeah, I'm going to go and approve vehicle production. I'm probably going to hire more people. We're going to get 50%. I'm going to approve a 10 million production rate for Optimus. I'm going to approve Cybercab launching and going as fast as we can. And I'm going to talk about these massive ideas that I haven't talked about before, terafabs and space-based AI data centers. And both of those are crazy, massive, unbelievable dreams. But he's starting to dream now. He's probably going to invest now too. Do you guys feel that way?
Yeah. So apologies. I got caught up on the one texting and driving. You asked a lot of questions, and they each deserve that. That's not a blanket statement. So did he take his foot off the brake? Yes, and we're clearly on an uphill with the stock price, and we've rolled all the way back down to 430, 420s. So that's not good. No, this is a joke. Stock joke.
Stop with your jokes. Leave it to Brian.
Well, when you say you take the foot off and we see the stock falling, like, it's hard not to. Anyways, so as far as, look, I would say all the space stuff, that's, no pun intended, pie in the sky.
Nice.
Don't count on that. All right. That is next decade. I wouldn't expect that this decade. The Terra Factory, I do think they should do it. I do think, because they would be, I think it's gonna be a lot easier than a TSMC or Intel or Samsung, just because they are so myopic on what they're building. But I'm with Brian, it's still going to be extremely hard because they have no experience doing this. It's going to be their first time, and it'll probably take 3 iterations, as per usual, before they actually figure out how to do it right. Now, they might make some nice friends in Texas saying, hey, TSMC, you want this chip order? Well, help us out with this. Or Samsung, help us with this, right? Like, there could be something there. Intel, you seem to be struggling. Why don't we co-partner on, right? Like, there could be something there. Right. I don't think that they'll go completely from scratch. But again, I would say that's also pie in the sky. And that would probably have implications next decade. Right. And next decade just means the 2030s. We're approaching 2026 here. So I don't see any of that being meaningful in the next 4 years. So I just want to set expectations. Look how long it took us before 4680 was even really a factor. You know, look how long it took to get Giga Texas to actually be of good volume. You know, I would say even right now, Giga Texas still has a lot of room for growth there. Cybercab, the unbox, they announced that in 2022, maybe. Here we are 3 years later, and we still haven't seen a single vehicle roll off production line. These things take time. So I just say this to not to sound like a bear, not to be a naysayer, to poo-poo on the party, but just to say, if you're a long-term investor, then be a long-term investor and don't have short-sighted expectations and get mad at the company. If you have short-sighted expectations, that's fine. Just understand that your expectations should be around robotaxi scaling, better EV volumes, things that are on short-term timelines. So just assign proper expectations with the current product roadmap and where it's at, not future state. So that's my thought on that.
It's very good.
Love it.
Love it. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of Gecko's Law?
No.
Have you been just sitting there with Grok trying to get a joke?
I went to Grok.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do I one up Nick Gibbs with his Gecko's Law is based on Gordon Gekko, Wall Street, and basically selfishness.
Greed is good.
Greed is good.
Greed
Human
is right.
action is tied to selfishness and personal gain. Yeah. I don't know. It's got nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it's fun. Fun. Okay.
See how easy it is to play in my world?
We don't do it as well as you do. We should stop. Okay. So that's a very good answer. Some things are in short term, and then of course time frame is always slipping. But at the high level, Elon comes up with these massive, crazy, visionary stuff that will take years, but it happens, right? EVs are a real thing now. EVs are actually the main force. It's a pretty well done deal. All cars in the future will be electric vehicles. He did it. He accomplished that mission. Well, then it's like autonomous cars.
You're all in on hydrogen?
No, all cars in the future won't be EVs. There's pretty much every vehicle that'll be made next year will be ICE vehicle.
Dyno burner.
I
and
said
the year
in the
after
future.
that will be ICE. Yeah, those are future.
No, I know that. I'm saying, okay, his goal was to make car production instead of ICE into EVs, and that's on its way. Not saying it's going to happen 5-10 years, but it's pretty well what's the writing on the wall. That the world's moving.
The main thing I'm driving to, because again,
in the future,
as a Tesla community, a lot of us were all. I'm guilty of it. Thought Ford and GM would be bankrupt by now. I'm guilty of
Yeah.
it. I thought it.
It's going to happen, but they are funded and they're fine. And yeah, people it has to change.
It's not
But
that they're
okay,
funded. It's that there's a lot of people who still prefer ICE over EVs, or they don't know about EVs. Like I'm just
yeah.
being
Yeah. So
honest.
that's EVs. He did that. Now autonomy was this crazy idea. Now we can see the inklings of this is going to be an autonomous world. Again, not today, not 5 years. Come on, don't play with my words here. But it is where we're headed to. And then now he's talking about terafabs and space-based AI data centers. Pie in the sky. You're right. They are pie in the sky. But it's like you got to start talking about it today in order to actually start making the moves you need now in order for like 5, 10, 20 years, 30 years from now that these things actually come to fruition. But when they do come to fruition, like not only the world, but the universe changes for all of us, right? It's crazy what this means.
Also worth noting, the terafab and the space-based AI data centers, those were not part of the presentation. Those were the Q&A. And he even said, look, I'm going to go off the rails a little bit here, but here's your answer. So these weren't, part of the scheduled program, but they were kind of tacked on. And for that
Great
matter,
context.
we're not. I mean, should we also talk about uploading our consciousness to Optimus, because that was covered as well? And
Yeah. So you're thinking that terafab is more of a threat to Intel and the others versus it being a real deal?
Opposite.
I do.
What do you think?
I think it's.
Oh.
I think it's a threat. Nick thinks it's a plan, is what it sounds like.
Oh no, I think it's something that they should think about. Like I think it's part of the vertical integration story. And if you're gonna continue, like everything needs chips, right? Like literally everything in the vehicle has, I don't know how many chips, right? Like 40 different chips just for the vehicle. Yeah, I mean, like I can see where it makes sense from a vertical integration spot. And don't forget, we had the big bottleneck of chips not too long ago, and that kind of threw the whole building of cars into a frenzy. Remember, we saw all those Ford trucks just sitting there stocked up because they were waiting on some stupid little chip. And Tesla, luckily, were able to pivot and kind of rewrite the firmware for chips that they pulled kind of off the shelf. So not everyone can do that. But so to me, it stands to reason to try to take as much in house, especially when you see a bottleneck, right? Like that was I think a lot of the impetus behind. All right, well, we're gonna start refining lithium.
Yeah,
because
I was going to say
that
that
became a problem.
At one point, he just threw it out there at an earnings meeting. He said, gosh, if I were you, startups, I'd be doing lithium. Refining it is a huge business. And then eventually it was like, no one else is doing it, so I think we need to do it. And then he could have just been a threat to the, suppliers, or it could have been like, we need to do this.
He also said that about nickel. He was also saying
not everything. Clearly not everything. I'm just saying that, is a terafab. I would lean on the idea that it's more likely that he's actually going to do this versus or try to do it. I know it's very difficult. I'm not saying it's a done deal. We're going to roll in the money because of what I'm saying. He's taken off the brakes off Tesla. He's realized now that, my gosh, we have tremendous opportunity for robots, for cars, and AI data centers, which all require chips, and there's not enough. Samsung can't do it. TSMC can't do it. Intel, hey, if you move, you breathe, I'll buy everything you've got. But they've got other customers. And so he goes, okay, we'll need to make our own. And we need to make it in massive numbers. That's why I'm going to call it a terafab. And I'll use all of it. That's how big his vision has been. And now he sees a path to it. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be 100% chance that it's going to happen, but it always starts this way, right? You have a vision, you have a plan, and then we know Elon sometimes, more than us, makes things happen.
Well, I would say that on all of those things, they didn't go into them unless they had an opportunity to disrupt them. With the lithium refinery, they've got new methods, new procedures, new processes that use less water, less energy. And that's why they thought they could do it. With the 4680, they had dry cathode, which hasn't necessarily worked out. Unless they have a disruptive tech, there's a reason there are so few companies that have cutting edge chips. And if the objective is to match today's benchmark, that's not going to help. That you need next gen stuff. And what we've seen with Dojo even is that these are very complicated processes and procedures. And I don't buy that there's not going to be enough. We know TSMC's got the new fab going up in Arizona, and others do as well around the world. I think it's more of a warning shot that if you don't do this, we will do as we've always done and step in and do it ourselves. Please don't make us do that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, Brian, and you may be completely right. I think what I see though, like as far as to your point, like what is disruptive or differentiating, isn't necessarily for everyone else, but for themselves, where they can really design to maximize efficiency and limit entropy on the design of the chips for their singular purpose needs. And I think the idea would be that itself is differentiating enough, because you can't rely on NVIDIA or Intel or anyone else. Now, to your point, okay, well, then design your own chip and have them build it, right? We see Amazon do that. Google does that. Microsoft does it, right? Lots of companies, Apple does that, right? Design your own silicon. Doesn't mean you have to build it. But I think that's where it kind of becomes like, all right, well, the margins on these are crazy. And if we built our own fab and we figured it
what
out.
They sell to you. Yeah.
Yeah, if we build our own fab and we can design our own chips, we can have faster iteration process. We can learn quicker, right? Because we're sitting in there literally in the lab, building, testing, quicker iteration. And we've got lots of potential customers. You got SpaceX as a customer. You got Starlink as a customer. You got Boring Company as a customer. You've got XAI as a potential customer, right? Like there's lots of customers, the Megapack sector, the car business itself is a business, and you've got the FSD component of it. So I think there's like lots of potential customers for it as well. But it is, I do think, like, honestly, I think that is more of a audacious task than data centers in space, personally, because data centers in space is not, I don't want to make it sound so trivial, right? But it's not too much different than putting a satellite up to space. Like you already have everything built. It's just a logistics question.
Yes, I'm going to agree with Nick. As crazy as it sounds, we know that Starship will be able to launch a very large payload. And what is a data center in space but a large satellite? Satellites have solar panels and computers. That's what this is, just bigger. And we know what the chips would be because they already exist.
But they need chips. They need chips. They need terafab chips.
Yes.
First of all, just a quick answer to what you were saying, Brian. Elon already just said it recently too. We don't have core competencies in anything, and then we decide we're going to get into something, we develop a core competency. So the fact that they haven't, I won't get into it unless I have something that's going to disrupt the market, they will find something that makes it work for them. And in terms of the numbers, the reason he's doing it is that Samsung can't produce enough. Intel can't produce enough. They can make 2 more factories, and that's not enough. Elon thinks that there's going to be billions of robots. And by the way, it's not just humanoid robots. It's anything with a camera and a chip can become intelligent, AI driven. I was talking to CERN about, James Dalman was talking about a video camera pointing at your pool. That can be made intelligent. Anything can be made intelligent. All of that will require chips and GPUs in them. So this is unlimited. And he's going, you know what? We need to do it ourselves. And not only when we do it, we need to do it in massive numbers.
So I would say that the fact that they struggled with 4680 and struggled with Dojo should make clear that while nothing is impossible for Tesla and Elon's other companies, some things are prohibitive. Dojo could have continued moving forward. It just wouldn't have necessarily been cost effective and wise to do so based on developments from other players in the space. This is much, much harder than building a battery with a new cathode. But we'll find out, and it could be a threat. It could also be something on which they pivot. I've tried to caution people before on specifically single source rumors. I know a guy at Tesla, and he said this: you don't know if he's lying to you. I don't know if you're lying to me. And more importantly, that employee, even if they're telling the truth, doesn't know if that's still going to be the plan tomorrow, because Tesla is nimble and they're not afraid to change course when they can see they're going the wrong way.
Like a steering wheel and brake and pedals.
Nope,
Stop. It's
they
a
went the
joke.
right
It's
way.
a joke. It's
No,
a
they went.
joke.
No, you're right. They went the right way. So perfect.
Farzad just texted me. He's like, "Hey, say this."
Yeah, he was.
So I haven't talked to you guys since the. Oh, sorry, Herbert. Do you have another
No,
topic?
no, no. Keep going. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so I haven't spoken to you guys since the last shareholder meeting, which was last week, right? That was last week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you for your confirmation. You were both there on site.
Mm-hmm.
What good energy? Did it feel like a normal shareholder meeting? Did it feel different? What was it? Was it I
shareholder
when I
meetings are typically boring affairs, and this was not. This was closer to a party,
okay.
and Elon even said there's no rule that says these have to be boring. Let's have a little bit of fun. And the mood in the crowd was electric. It
Yeah.
was it was uh it was a lot of fun being there, I
I
think.
mean, yeah, I mean it's a historic shareholder meeting, right? With the vote, it's a historic share meeting with the. I think it's the first time we've had a shareholder meeting where the stock's essentially at all-time highs, right? Like, so there's a lot of like euphoria going into that. But was it different? So I don't want to lead the witness, but I remember when I first saw the Cybertruck, I was like, it's okay. Like I was kind of expecting something different. I don't get it. After a while, it started to grow on me. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. But when I saw it in person for the first time, it was actually at a shareholder meeting. I saw it for the first time in person. It was like, what was I thinking? This is amazing. My question is, when you guys were there in the crowd and you saw Optimus dancing and moving, was it different seeing it in motion in real life versus what we always see on the screen? I have to feel like it must have been.
Not for me. Not for
Not
me.
for
No?
me.
Okay.
I wasn't terribly impressed with Optimus.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
I
Same
just
here.
I just said, oh wow, that's cool. And then I felt silly because you could see them standing there swaying, and it wasn't the clue. The clue was these are about to do something, and it just didn't register. So when they moved, I was like, I get it now.
It's version 2. It danced. We've seen them dance already on demos. Seeing it live wasn't nothing moved me or anything like that. I've been to the most incredible time I've ever had was Giga with Cyber Rodeo, which is when Giga Texas, the factory
that's
that we were
there.
just visited, was first opened up, and you're walking around and the size of it and the party they threw was unbelievable. There was giant structures that were like building sizes. They had incredible presentation and everything. That was really electric. And of course, that was the first time that Tesla community kind of met together, and we met the people we've been talking to for the first time ever. Here it's a reunion. This was a lot of fun and a lot of interesting things happened, but I wouldn't say that I personally was that moved, except that this shareholder meeting was historic. This is why I'm doing the show, right? This is like where we truly did turn a page on that day. that now Elon has his package, and he's going to move forward now with these milestones, with these ideas, and that's what's exciting. What I really liked was I did get a chance to speak with the board members, with the investor relations people, the chief litigator, the chief financial officer. I was able to speak with them, and the mood that they had was very positive. Kimball Musk, it was all good, right? Robin Denholm, happy. We got this done. We carried over. We've been tired because we've been working so hard the last several months. Now we made this happen. It just sets up what's going to happen next. I didn't see anything personally. I chose not to bother doing the factory tour. I've done it one before, but I talked to people because I was, busy doing other things. But other than that, this is not about product. It's not about product explosion. It really is about a shareholder meeting, which is so boring, right? The first 30 minutes of it was just absolutely boring.
Yeah,
but it's about what does this mean for us as we move forward. That's where I'm focused on.
Brian, question for you. I don't want to I was watching you live stream. I believe it was live stream. And you were talking about how it might have been an X post that you put. You said something while you were there that you had just gotten done with the tour that Herbert foolishly chose not to go on, and and you said that you were able to use. I think you're being a little tongue in cheek, but you're essentially saying like they shouldn't have let me see that much. I know a lot
Yes.
now. Did you make a video on that already? Like, if
No,
so, like,
yeah.
should we go look at it, or was it with you? Like,
I mentioned it a bit on Herbert's live stream, but I also did make a dedicated video a few days ago. But the long and short of it is, in seeing it, I was able to visually see that it is in fact 48 volt, and they confirmed it. I got to see that there are thicker wires going to the wheels, which seems to confirm brake by wire. And then of course we could see under the front of it in the video that they showed, confirming steer by wire. And then we saw part of the wiring harness showed what I am calling the communication dome, the thing that they put in the back window in Austin for added communication. And then the last thing was the motor, which he said, look at how small it is compared to the older motors. And I said, that's too big for the horsepower. Did you guys manage to get rid of the rare earth materials? And he said, I can't answer that. And I said, I bet you could if the answer was no. So that's the summary.
Okay, that's awesome. And if you guys want to know more, go watch on his channel.
Go watch
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, very clear. They did not let us videotape what was in there, and it was not a factory tour of the unboxed model. It's not like you can see it.
Right.
It was just,
what I showed in my video, because he said, look at this wiring harness. Isn't it complicated? And me and CERN and Xander were like, no, that's actually the simplest wiring harness I've ever seen. So in my video, because I didn't have pictures, what I showed was a plate of spaghetti and a much smaller plate of spaghetti to represent the Cybercab. I think that's a good representation.
Now, I did use Robotaxi 4 times, and it was flawless. And for me, they were all 5 minutes. I think one was 20 minutes, but everybody else was complaining that it was a really long wait for some of these vehicles. But for me, it was just flawless. Perfect. Perfect rides.
Go ahead, Brian. Go.
When we were leaving that restaurant, Herbert, Snooze, the brunch place, Diana pulled out her phone and said, it's telling me 40 minutes. And we're like, really? She goes, oh, wait, no, 20. Okay, 9. So
still
and that was with,
yeah.
Well, but that was with like 6 of us ordering robo-taxis at the same time in the same location. But the thing is, others in the group were getting there sooner because they'd put in their requests sooner. And my rides were also flawless, but I still saw the operator tapping the thing to leave notes on the, bookmarks on the ride for the engineers, because what I saw as flawless, they saw as this needs attention. So that I think is a great place to be, where you've seen things where you're like, oh boy, that symphony was perfect, and the conductor's going, well, I got some notes. Okay, if you say so. So that's where I think we are.
So I was going to ask, Herbert, are you a peasant like Brian and still don't have 14?
What? I'm no peasant. No, I got 14.
Okay,
What do you mean? Brian doesn't have 14?
I don't.
You don't have it?
Do you not listen when he talks on the show like 5 minutes
I have
ago?
14.1.4. I got hardware 4. I thought he has hardware 4 too.
I have hardware 4.
I had to say peasant because someone in the comments said Nick's so pretentious. I'm like, it's like the one day I don't have a backwards hat on, a t-shirt. So I had to call him a peasant. All right. So seriously though, were you able to tell a difference between what you experienced there with the Cybercab versus what we have for 14? Because I believe 14 right now, it's great, but it's not as good as the last polished version of 13. It can do tricks that 13 couldn't do, but as far as if you compared everything 13 could do to 14, 13 was better.
Well, that's not my experience. I'm absolutely enjoying 14.1.4. I think it's perfect. It's great. I do see a little bit of a stutter, but it's so tiny.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. That stutter, that didn't exist in 13.
Yeah, they'll get rid of that. They already talked about getting rid of that. So that's not.
Hold on.
Tiny,
Listen
tiny
to the words I
little
said
ones for me. Yeah.
The words I was saying was everything, if you compare everything 13 could do, all the abilities, to 14, 13 was better. Like there was none of that stabbing. You wouldn't have said that with 13. Didn't do any of that.
That's
right?
amazing. I mean,
I
this car 14
understand.
can park itself. It can go through
Right.
garages
No,
that I
That's
couldn't
not
do
what
before. It
Nick's
can go through
talking
my
about.
driveway that it couldn't do
Right.
Not what
before.
I'm saying.
That's not
You're
what he's
hearing what
saying.
you want to hear.
Nick is saying, of all the things
Comfort.
that 13 did perfectly, 14 can't do all of them perfectly. 14's got new tricks,
Except for
but
comfort.
it's
What
unlearned.
other things are you saying?
No, that's the question.
Yeah.
So, Nick, I will tell you, I spent 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours with version 14 on a drive weekend before last, and it had some weird behavior, some stuttering, some uncertainty. The Cybercab did not, is my
Okay,
answer.
so that's what I'm getting to, because I'm trying to understand if what we have is different than what's on the Cybercab. That's what I'm trying to understand. And if you've been on 14 long enough, like, it does a lot of new tricks, right? Like 13 couldn't avoid ambulances, wouldn't pull over to the side, it wouldn't park for me very reliably, wouldn't do any of that. But 13 was smooth operator. Like, I never once had to take over unless it was to park or at the end of my destination. It was smooth. 14, it has some moments like, oh, like, it didn't necessarily make a dangerous mistake, but a few times a car gets out of the way, quickly, and all of a sudden it falls right behind it, thinking that's going to run into. Like, okay, no, that's not right. So
Where
I've had
are we going?
yeah, exactly, yeah. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
But so that's why I was curious if the current vehicles are using a different software for the robotaxi network versus what we have.
Robotaxi in Austin still had a couple very quick little stutter, which is what I'm experiencing now with 14.1.4. Now, these stutters, Elon already explained it, Nashok explained it as well. They're part and parcel of rolling out a brand new next gen kind of service. They'll clean it up.
Crapping on it. I'm not saying anything bad about it.
So for me, it's like it's a minor little thing that it's not like, oh, I prefer 13. There's no way I'll ever go back to 13, regardless of this comfort, because it's like a matter of a week, 2 weeks from now, and that comfort will be taken care of. You know why it's doing the stutters, right? It's like there's a couple of really good explanations of why it's doing that. One is that it actually has not better vision, but it actually can now understand so much closer that it can see cars going through the trees that it couldn't see before. It could actually see through windows now and see the gestures of the driver on the other car. So it's got a lot more to look at. And
we think so. We don't know.
We don't know, but these are examples of what they're saying. And now it can actually overreact. So it sees leaves or something like that, and then it will react to it. It says a little tweaking, and they'll get that out of the way.
The way you just painted that as a feature, like now it can overreact.
Yes, that's the point. It's not like this idea that, oh my God, oh look at it, there's leaves and it's stopping. That's so ridiculous. It recognizes there's leaves there, and B, that can be resolved. That's not an issue. They'll fix that, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So why is it doing it? Because it actually now recognizes that there's something there, as opposed to before, didn't even know something was there at all.
Well, okay, but yeah, I hear you, and I agree with everything you're saying as far as like it's not a big deal. Like, don't make it a big deal, and I'm not making it a big deal. I'm not. I feel like you're getting offended with what I'm saying.
No.
But what I will say is the reasons why these things are happening, I don't agree with. Their opinions, people think that you're talking about are just everyday Joes who throwing out their opinion about why they think something happened. We don't actually know. It's not like Tesla came out and said, this is why these things are happening. This is why I paused for leaves, right? It might have actually thought it was something. It's not like, oh, we recognize leaves for the first time. It might actually be something that it thinks, and it's a wrong thing to think that. So we don't know.
What Tesla did come out and say was what Elon said, which is, when we roll out a new software, it's always about safety first, and it's going to have these comfort issues, which we will then address in the next sub-releases. That's what this is, the comfort issues. Smooth and doesn't do jerks. I think these are comfort issues.
So I got to address this real quick. There's a comment saying overreacting to leaves, it could cause a rear end collision, and no, it can't, because it knows what's behind it, even though you and I might not. It will not jam on the brakes and force a car to hit you any more than it will. I had a very tight turn, one of those weird turns where you have to look over your shoulder to see oncoming traffic. I took my eyes off the road for maybe a full minute, and it never beeped at me because the car knows what I can see. It knows what I'm looking at. It knows that I'm looking at traffic, and in the exact same way, stomping on the brakes for leaves, it understands the context of the entire road around it, not just the car ahead. And that's a misconception we need to clear up. So
Well said.
I hope that settles that.
Yeah, so it was historic what happened last week. Well, let's not call it historic. It's more just a milestone
It
that we
is.
hit.
No, it is historic. It's the largest pay package potential approved for a CEO of all time. It is the most aggressive pay package for a CEO of all time. If this becomes successful, it'll be one of the largest wealth creation vehicles, no pun intended, that has ever existed in all of history. Like for the everyday individual person, the doctor, the lawyer, the mechanic, the gardener, the pool boy, like literally everyone can participate in this. Like that, there have been such few rare occasions where this has been the case. And you can sit there and say, hey, look at Amazon, bookstore, AWS, all that, look at Microsoft. But the difference is none of them said, hey, this is our goal to 8 or 10x by this day. These are our goal. Like they didn't say that. It just happened to happen. NVIDIA didn't say our goal is this. It just happened to happen. They happened to become a $5 trillion company. They didn't say, hey, ahead of time, we're aiming to be a $5 trillion company. We're only a $200 billion company right now, but this is what we're aiming for, right? So it's historic in many regards. And people can sit there and complain about it, and that means that they think it's going to happen, or they can jump on the train and enjoy the ride. It's historic in many ways.
The people that hate Elon get it all wrong. It's emotional. It's not fact-based. You remember I was saying, if you really hate Elon, vote for this package, because then he's going to have to do work and you don't believe in him and he's going to do it for free. Well, what I say is if you support no one should be a trillionaire, support this, because guess what happens as soon as he gets $1 trillion? He has to give half of it to the government. This is the largest taxable event in history, and you're cheering against it. It's free money for that I am paying, that Nick and Herbert, that shareholders are paying to Elon, that will then go to the government at a rate of not quite half, but just about. So if you are into big government and big taxation, support this, guys.
You're also missing another $2 trillion, Brian. If this happens,
but
the company becomes 8.5 trillion. The company itself will need to pay taxes of $2 trillion.
Yeah.
And all the employees is going to hire. Yeah.
Stick it to the man. Stick it to the man. Support this.
To the government. Yeah. $2 trillion to the government for taxes.
Yeah. For that matter, you just have to, if you want other people to pay taxes, this is it. Let Elon pay him.
So it's also, for anyone who's not aware, like zooming way out, for anyone who's not aware, we kind of don't have a balanced budget in this country. We kind of haven't for a long, long time, and we're running crazy deficits. Our interest payments have exceeded our costs for the military each year. They're about to surpass a lot of our healthcare entitlements that we have. It's a problem. We're not going to be able to tax. If you tax every single wealthy person in this country, you would maybe get by 7 months, maybe. And then that's it. Then we've tapped that bucket. What are we going to do now? So that's not a solution. You can raise taxes on everyone. Well, that's not going to do any good either, is it? And if the Fed starts to try to print money and raise rates to get people to want to buy those treasury notes, well, that's going to suck money out of the stock market. Well, there goes all your rich people, so you can't touch that. And by the way, if you touch those rich people and you say you're going to, those stocks are going to crater. So they're not going to have the value that you said they have. So what's the solution? To grow. We have to make the pie bigger. Growth is the only solution out of this. And so you need CEOs to be incentivized like this. In fact, it should almost be a mandate that you have CEOs have aggressive outlines for what they have to do to achieve their compensation, because we are at a point where this country needs to have rapid growth. We need to have a renaissance in this country in order to offset our deficits. So I think there's like a bigger problem here that people are just glossing over. And by the way, we keep saying it's $1 trillion package. Isn't it 28 billion? And it might appraise to $1 trillion.
Well, and it could be 5 trillion by the time he actually exercises, because when it's
Yeah.
granted, he has to wait. I mean, it's they just use that number because it's sexy. And I do appreciate Nick drawing me in, forcing me to agree with him just by talking about pie. I love it. I'm on. I'm in. You got me.
Good one.
Are you Thanksgiving's coming up? Are you pumpkin or
Yeah.
sweet potato or yes?
Pumpkin. Pumpkin. And
Herbert?
Pumpkin.
Herbert, are you
Pumpkin
coming over
pie.
for my Friendsgiving the day after Thanksgiving? You're invited.
First I heard about it.
I know. I've only decided on it about a week ago.
I'm
Day
not
after
part of the Friendsgiving group.
You are.
I'm the acquaintance
pretty
group. Is
good.
that it is?
Well, I
Acquaintance
announced it.
giving?
I announced it on my channel. Are you not one of my viewers?
2 weeks is pretty good, right? That's good notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
this
live
is
in
a
the same city, in the same state.
No.
No.
We're 3
2.5
hours apart.
hours.
2
Yeah.
hours. Yeah.
Oh, that's nothing with FSD. You just take a sleep, text him.
No.
Text
Yeah,
you,
for
you're
sure,
almost
for
there
sure.
while it's driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good. Friendsgiving.
Yeah.
What's that? What do you
It's
do?
the day after Thanksgiving. You invite all the people who don't have family in the area or who have family but like you. And so, a number of viewers are invited to reach out to me and ask for an invitation as well. I do that as
Wow.
well. Oh yeah.
Wow,
I've had
Brian,
viewers join my
you're
Friendsgiving.
generous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't invite me, by the way, everybody.
Yeah.
He's too
No,
far
but you guys
away.
aren't you guys gonna meet? Aren't you guys meeting tomorrow?
We're having dinner
Brian's
tomorrow,
flying over there,
Nick.
right?
I'm
We're having a
flying to
date.
You for a
It's a
date.
date. What's
We're
gonna
having a
happen on
date.
this date? First of all,
Well,
have
that-
you two met physically?
Nope.
We haven't. We're gonna hug for the first time. Our
Okay,
kitties
take a
are gonna
photo.
touch.
Your jokes
What?
are not landing, dude.
I think you guys both laughed, and
That was good. That was good.
I don't know how you guys hug, but that's how I hug.
I
mean,
on the
guys
live
like-
stream,
I won't tell.
Brian put his head on my shoulder. So that was how we
I
Yeah.
saw
met.
that.
Aw.
I did see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I watched all you guys from afar.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I was actually live streaming, and I got bored with the conversation because we were just talking about Optimus and a video that Hans had just made, and I just watched the video, and then we were talking about. I'm like, all right, I just listened to the whole thing about this. So I was watching you, Xander stream you guys.
Yeah.
So I was watching you guys while I was on the live stream. I'm all for it.
It worked out really nice because we had 2 cameras, Xander and then myself too. So it worked out
Yeah.
really nice. Yeah.
It was cool seeing the different angles. Actually, you guys did a good job on that, and there's good connectivity versus during the Cybercab launch
Yeah.
or Rubber
And there
Tax
was
launch.
and Xander was doing a great job of behind the camera wrangling in the next people. It was really well
Yeah.
done.
What I need is a professional person to help me out because I've got all the right equipment. I got all the equipment and the gimbals and all that, but it's like, God, I need somebody who can actually.
Xander, if you're watching, I think you are the best gimbal out there. I think you did a phenomenal job. Don't listen.
He
to
does
this
a good
guy.
job. Yeah. You know what? It was funny because later I was like, God, that was tiring. And he looked at me and goes, dude, I had to hold a camera for 3 hours straight. Yeah, he was tired. It's like hold the camera like this.
So can I trick you two into talking about the rest of the year?
Yeah. Okay. What's to talk about?
Cool.
I'm curious to
Yeah,
see
have you
how
heard of
trick
this?
works.
There's a law called Aramis law. Let me tell you about that though, because keep going.
Amara's law.
Amara's law. Okay.
Yeah. So what are you excited about going into, say, by December 31st? Whether it's milestones with the company or FSD or Robotaxi or the stock or just in general, like what do you have to look forward to realistically between now and the end of the year? Right? What's the, we tend to have like a Santa Claus rally to the end of the year, right? We tend to see this. Last year it didn't happen until 2 days after Christmas. But so I'm curious, like, what do you guys see? What are you guys hopeful for that will be like, look at this thing happening? Or what's the boost for Tesla? Or what just in general, what are you guys excited about for the rest of 2025 as we close out a, arguably very fascinating, interesting, entertaining, but epic year?
Q4 is seasonally a strong quarter for deliveries. I'm expecting to see a good quarter for deliveries. I'm expecting to see the end of the wave of Model Y's refresh. 1 year is quite enough for that. They should be able to start smoothing it. And I'm looking to see some strong numbers for YL out of China. It'd be nice if we could get some new news before the end of the year, but I don't expect it. We just had the shareholder meeting. I think they're going to hold off on new announcements until maybe the the first month of next year. So production deliveries should be very strong. We will see new mega pack numbers. We'll see new deployments. We won't see it in the month, but it'll happen in the month. And then in addition to that, I guess, we'll see over the next 6 weeks, Semi-Factory getting wrapped up, because right now they are at, as Zangler, the drone pilot, put it, max Q. If you look, the parking lot is full. The equipment is everywhere. There's people packing it inside all day. All of the contractors are getting things installed, outfitted, and tested. So those are probably the things I'm most excited about over the next, because again, I'm not confident I'm getting text and drive. I'm hopeful I'm getting at least 14, but we'll see.
Awesome.
Yes,
Those are great, exciting things.
I'm not looking forward to anything new to come in the end of this year. I'm much more focused on 2026. I actually don't think that Tesla is going to be able to remove the safety monitor by the end of this year. Maybe they'll do it in the last few days, just for symbolically. And even if they did, like for me, it's like I know everybody kept saying, "Oh, it's the milestone." Not for me. I mean, having that person in the car versus not having that person in the car, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden something changed.
And you're the milestone guy, so that's like quite an indictment.
And then removing the number of cities that they're going to launch in, I'm very skeptical that it's going to happen by the end of this year. You know, in the actual shareholder meeting, they had a slide, they had all these cities laid there, but I just don't think it's going to happen by the end of the year. We're already middle of November. So I'm not expecting anything new before the end of this year, but certainly thinking that next year is going to be lots of things happening, and that's where it matters. But am I wrong? Yeah.
So a reminder, after this show is a follow-up show where I answer questions that have come in over the course of this show. If you're on my channel or Herbert's channel, it should redirect you automatically, unless you're on X or watching it on the replay. Anyway, you can find it on my channel. I'm going to take a quick break, so I'll be fresh for that. And Nick, I'll see you tomorrow for dinner.
Yes, sir. We'll have good eatings.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I mean, they removed the Roadster demo that he kept saying as early as or as late as the Joe Rogan interview a couple of weeks ago. He said it was going to come by the end of this year. Now it's April 1st. So that was going to be the thing that's very interesting, cool.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I'm looking for new FSD versions. I'm most interested in FSD 14.2. I think that comes before the end of the year. I think that comes out soon. I think that comes out before end of November, would be my guess. And the reason I think that is because I think 14.2 is going to be, I think that's probably what they're using right now, testing right now actively. But I think that's going to be the version where they're going to try to expand it to other cities. So I do think we'll see these cities announce. It'll probably be small scale, Herbert. It'll probably be like 10 or 15 vehicles, same way Austin was. And they'll have safety drivers, just as, Elon had mentioned on the earnings call, for about 3 or so months, maybe 6 months, who knows. But I think all that will happen this year. And I think that'll be very bullish for the stock. I actually think that I don't know why, but it seems like there's good momentum, good energy going towards buying EVs again. So I think that will have good momentum for the stock, especially as we see delivery numbers come out each week, end of November. You're not going to see final numbers until January for Tesla for Q4. And then I think in general, the market itself it's assuming the market advances. I mean, we've had kind of a sell-off here for the past week and a half, you kind of say. We've had about a 3 to 5% correction on the stock market. And I think we run into the end of the year. And so I think that plus all those other things I mentioned will buoy Tesla up there. Um, Obviously, none of this financial advice, could be wrong. Don't really know anything, but I'm pretty. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there right now, and I think I imagine you see that. There's a lot of talk about AI bubbles and all this, and I keep coming back to two very simple um, frameworks for thinking. And the first one is whenever there's a lot of fear or caution out there, that is the exact opposite of what it means when you're at a top or in a bubble. The nature of a bubble is when everyone is euphoric. It's
Right.
not when there's caution out there and paranoia, right? Caution and paranoia are the antidote to creating a big bubble. Now, that's not to say that there's always a bubble forming, right? Now, all bubbles pop, but I think there's a lot of people being measured out there and whispering words of caution. So I'm not worried about that. I genuinely think that we're in early cycles here. And to be honest, this recent pullback, to me, I think it's Wall Street manipulating retail shareholders, unfortunately. I think there's a active initiative to draw down the markets so that they can get in and then ride back up. I think that's what's happening right now. I don't buy a lot of this right now. I think, when you look at NVIDIA, there's so much demand for them. It's not palatable, right? Like it's insane. And you look at people railing against Meta for over investing. It's like it just seems crazy to me. Like I think there's so much paranoia out there that alone could send us into a very strong close. You throw in FSD 14.2, you throw in potential new city announcements. I think we're gonna have a good end of the year. And I stick with my point. Why would I change now, right? It's been a whole year. I still think we hit all-time highs and 500 by the end of the year.
500 by the end of this year. Yeah, I was going to ask you that. That's good. We're mid-November. I agree with you that I think we've been hearing that all the earnings have been coming out and they're just beating. Everybody's still beating across the board. So,
they're beating, but the stocks are taking a hit, which is interesting. It's actually really interesting to see what's happening. But
and then Tesla's another animal, right? It's hard to know, but you can see these big whales and the institutions, they're buying, they're coming in. And obviously you'll see Kathy Wood sold and you're going, why did she sell when she's so bullish? It's just playing with the weeks and the months. But in general, more and more are buying big dollars and they're getting in. It's almost like it's, the writing is on the wall here where Tesla's going, but it's not yet shown, not yet there.
Yeah, look, yesterday I called out to my subscribers. I told them I'm bullish on Netflix right now. Netflix is up 5% since then. Like Netflix ripped, right? It sold off almost 20% or maybe less than that. I don't know, rough numbers. It sold off like crazy after they had a fantastic earnings, but they had one hiccup, which was they had to pay a one-time tax to Brazil, which they're getting ahead of because they think a court ruling is going to go a certain way. So you sell off a Mag 7 company because of that? Meta had fantastic numbers, but they're over investing into AI. And so that's why you're going to sell them off. Obviously, Michael Burry sitting there putting in shorts on NVIDIA, Palantir, everyone. Palantir, another great example. Palantir, arguably one of the best quarters ever printed by any software company of all time. Arguably. And it sells off.
Yeah,
it's like when you see this, to me, this is not a sign of a bubble. It's a sign of, hey, here are your discounts to get into some really good companies that at the very least are going to stand the test of time for the next 2 to 5 years. It. Netflix isn't disappearing in the next 2 to 5 years. Tesla's not disappearing in the next 2 to 5 years. Palantir's not disappearing in the next 2 to 5 years. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, they're not going anywhere. So when you see these irrational moves on them, it's kind of hard not to go eating.
Yeah, don't you have to separate stock movement from business, right? That's why I'm just pointing out all the things that Tesla's doing, and I think that Elon is now he's gonna make things happen now. Like do you think Elon thinks that the economy next year is strong? Do you think that he's hedging, or do you think he's like saying, you know what, we're on our way. This is it. This is when I'm going to invest now. Versus like say 2 years ago when he said, I'm afraid of the economy. I'm going to pull back. We're not going to invest in Gigamex. So he didn't say that out loud, but you can hear him kind of hint that that's where his mind
That-
was.
That's great. That's a fascinating question to ask there. I know Brian's going to be waiting, so let me riff for like 2 minutes here.
Mm-hmm.
AMD CEO was on Squawk Box this morning, and they were asking her, which is kind of inappropriate, but they're asking her what happened with Intel, what's going on with Intel, and she kind of worked around the question, sidestepped it, but she was talking about technologies reaching a certain inflection point, right? And in many ways, a lot of these companies, when technology gets to a certain point, you are no different than somebody who's investing in Tesla in 2012 or Palantir when it was $20 a share. You have to make a decision, and you have to think that you can see what's going to happen next and what's going in the future. You have to have a point of view. You have to draw a line in the sand. And companies like Tesla have done it. They said, you know what? We think that this is where a vehicle ownership is going to go. It's going to go to autonomy. We're going to put cameras in now. We're going to have FSD computers in now. We don't know what's going to happen, but this is where we think things are going, right? You're betting on that. You're taking Jensen he was saying that GPUs are the future, and he kept talking about AI, Everyone's ignoring him. Everyone's ignoring him until ChatGPT, and all of a sudden, hey, AI is a thing, right? And so she was talking about that. And to me, I think Elon sees right now, 2026, as being another one of those inflection points where, guess what? They're sitting, and the inflection point is really with driving and transportation and what it means to move from point A to point B and the current economy and how expensive things are. And so I think he sees this inflection point between everything's too expensive, people don't have buying power, vehicle ownership, insurance, maintenance, all that, it's just a useless asset. If you really think about it, it's not an asset, but it's just constantly costing you money. And here I am with this technology that can disrupt all of that. And I think he sees that convergence of all this. So think about it. Yes, you may still decide to own a car. You may decide that. But think about the people who are struggling. All the people who were rallying against Congress about SNAP benefits and all that. Imagine, assuming they have a vehicle and they're not riding the bus and have to walk in the rain or at night to sit there at a bus stop where you tend to see a lot of homeless people on drugs sitting there. Imagine if that person who doesn't even have a vehicle can just call a robotaxi that's the same cost, if not cheaper than a bus, to go to their front doorstep. How much safer they are. In my mind, I always think of like a night nurse who has 2 kids. That's what I always think in my head.
Yeah.
Imagine a person that does have a vehicle and they're like, man, we're really struggling to pay our bills and everything. And all of a sudden, hey, I can get rid of this car note, this car insurance, the maintenance on it, and the safety of it, the gasoline price of it. Like, I can get rid of all that, pay this lower cost vehicle to get me from point A to point B, and now I have all this extra spending power to do something else. Yeah. He's meeting the moment with a technology that can disrupt and meet people where they are financially. And so this may not be as big of a deal for people like you and me who we can afford our cars, and it's not that big of a deal. And yeah, insurance goes up. Okay, it's annoying. I don't like paying more for anything, but whatever. It's not going to change our way of life, right? We're still going to go to that dinner we want to go to. But there's so many people that it's a huge difference in their life. And so he's able to touch the masses with this technology that fundamentally gives them buying power back. And if nothing else, it gives them the choice. They have the choice now. So, and it's not a choice like, well, I could ride the bus and it takes me 15 different stops before I get to my destination. And it's a little janky, a little scary, and I have to walk over there. And it's not like that's the trade-off. So I think he's really excited about where they're at in the technology. That's my working mindset right now with Tesla.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Nicely said, Nick. We're at an inflection point. This is it. Yeah. Well, that's a nice wrap up from where we started at the beginning. That was the real answer that we were looking for. Thank you guys. We'll do this every Wednesday. Stay on the channel. You'll be automatically redirected. Brian will answer the questions and he'll share more information. See you, everybody.